Welcome to the Too Much to Say podcast,
Where we have too much to say.
episode 10, The Cost of Truth, part 2 of 2, continuing from last week. But we want to be a little quicker today, so we're going to go ahead and just jump into the weekly random.
Out of respect to you.
And this week we were treated to a couple of just lovely stories out of Hollywood and White House. Starting off, I'm sure you've heard of it, but Roseanne decided to fully come out as a racist. And
She's out.
I guess so. I mean, let me bring up her tweet real quick. And she basically, in responding to a tweet about WikiLeaks, she decided to call a black lady, what's her name? Her last name's Jarrett. I know that. She's a... Oh man, here I am. Obama aide Valerie Jarrett. She basically said that she's a cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes. And I know that in DC, you can say whatever you want. You can, say that you can grab women by the pussy. You can disrespect Gold Star
Right.
winning veterans.
If you're famous, it's not a big deal.
And in DC, it doesn't matter as long as your party supports you. It doesn't matter. It
Right.
doesn't work like that in Hollywood. And Roseanne was fired basically the same day by ABC.
Yep. Immediately.
And not just her, but they just canceled the whole show. I was reading something saying basically they are thinking about doing a spinoff. So, assumably, sans Roseanne. But yeah, so that's...
ABC's statement said Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values. Decided to cancel her show.
That's because other than the Republican Party, everybody else actually likes black people.
Or like holds people accountable for things that they do.
Yeah. Apparently in the Republican Party, it doesn't matter. So
It doesn't matter.
as long as they,
like...
as long as they're in power and they keep getting votes.
Yeah. No, yeah. Roy Moore, Donald Trump. It's all good. It's all good.
October midterms. Just that's all I'm saying.
Just holding out.
Please show up and vote. If we can flop the Senate, flop the House of Representatives, we'll see some real change. Well,
Whew. Well, so that's a fun one. Not much to say about that one, but that's there you go.
Don't be a bigot.
Awesome. Yep. There you go. Roseanne. All right. Weird, right? I mean, that's some people you grow up with, it's always weird when that happens.
That
household name.
That show's always just been like white trash though, I felt. Like it's just like a dysfunctional family. I don't know, it's not my cup of tea, never has been.
I was more of a Cosby Show guy.
That one aged well. That was actually a good show.
Was it on this show that we were talking about some of like the clues, like early on, like some of the stuff that happened on the show?
Well, no, that one specific scene with the barbecue sauce.
With it.
I was watching that again the other day. He's doping his barbecue sauce and doping
Secrets
people in real life.
Yeah. With barbecue sauce, probably. I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of how I'd like to imagine it's happening. I'm actually pretty convinced that's how it did
personally happen. I don't try to imagine it at all.
No, but if you do, that's where it's inevitably going to lead. Yeah, it was definitely barbecue sauce. It definitely happened at like some oink joints, and
I guess he just has a knack for convincing women to go to barbecue with him.
Yep.
Wow. That took a turn.
Yeah. I was gonna say something about meat, but we won't go there.
He already did. All right. Next, this is something that's been unfolding the last 3 days. Trump continues to just one up himself in being one of the worst presidents of all time. He has decided to put tariffs on steel and aluminum for not all of them, but a lot of our allies: Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. How does that make you feel, Ross? Are you happy that he's punishing our allies?
European Union. Oh yeah, no, it's great. I love it. I think it's smart and it's timely, really. You know, we've all been kind of asking for this for a while. When I think about our partnership with Mexico and the EU, I think, you know, how long do we really want that to last? And how much do we really want to like value that ship? So
yeah, I mean,
no, I think it couldn't have come sooner.
I agree. I mean, I don't know why we want to have friends.
Yeah.
It just seems like people have been nice to us too long,
right?
And we need to ruin that. We just need to do away with it.
Yeah. No, and trade relationships aren't. They're not all they're chalked up.
Well, Mexico, Canada, and the European Union seem to agree, because each and every last one of them has responded with their own tariffs.
Shocker.
What was he expecting to happen here? Like, oh, well, you know, we're going to...
Oh, that's cool. It's cool.
We'd love to pay you an extra $2.8 billion. No, they were like, okay, you want to do $2.8 billion? We're going to charge you $2.8 billion. Let's...
Mexico's like, it's all good. We know we gave you a hard time about the wall, and we decided we weren't going to help you pay for it. That wall, it still doesn't exist. And so it's fair and square. You know, you should put tariffs on us. We deserve it. By the way, the wall still doesn't exist. I love that.
The wall was never going to exist.
Be here, please. Be present. Hold on silent.
The wall will never exist.
No, it will not. But it seems like Republicans are sort of fine with that.
I mean, I think it...
I lost you. I didn't hear you. What'd you say? Ah, you're gone. He's gone. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Ross Wilcox Show. It's good to be with you today. Sam has selfishly left us high and dry without a microphone to hear him.
Oh. Can you hear me?
He's decided to grace us with his presence again. He's back.
I have no fucking clue what just happened. I turned my mic off and I turned it back on, and I turned my camera off and I turned it back on, and the mic started working with it. So
good to have you back.
So that's fun.
There you go.
Welcome to the Too Much to Say podcast, where we always have
too much to say.
Well, I was going to say I always have mic issues, but
yeah,
Too Much to Say works too.
Right.
But
Too Many Mic Issues podcast didn't have the same kind of ring to it.
No, we wanted to go with
the
talking part instead.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, so of course Canada and Mexico responded, and the EU as well. They all responded in turn with their own tariffs, their own sanctions, and yeah.
It just feels like a child a child trying to be president. Like, oh, you know, if I slap them, you know, I'm so big and bad they won't do anything to me. No.
He tried to grab those countries by the pussy, and they wouldn't have that.
How does anyone support him? How does anyone support him at this moment? How can anyone
blindly
be okay with the way he is acquitting himself as president?
Loudly. Like,
why are you pissing off our allies, you jackass? Like, literally, Canada is our hat, and Mexico is our, like, pants, I guess? I don't know. Shoes? Doesn't matter. There are only bordering countries, and you're trying to piss them off. Please stop.
Because we're making America great again. America's the greatest country on earth.
Of God.
In fact, America's the only country on earth. You can't even call other countries countries. It's really just America.
That's true.
So, by the way, not only so the European Union, they're going to be taking Trump to task if they can. They're planning to take him to the World Trade Organization's Trade Court, officially known as the Dispute Resolution Mechanism, to get Mr. Trump's policy declared illegal. So, yeah, they're not too happy about it. European trade chief accuses U.S. of trying to extort concessions with threat.
The only thing that I'm excited for is the movie that comes out.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
In like, we have 2 more years of this bullshit. All right, so
yeah, they'll probably make a movie in 2021, something like that.
Yeah, 3 years from now.
Give it a year to kind of percolate.
Yeah. Well, no, you got to let it finish, so that way you can actually write it.
Right, because you got to have the denouement,
afterwards.
What's the aftermath and how did it unravel?
When he gets dragged out of the White House and beaten. Mm-hmm.
There's that. Yeah, I was gonna say the transference of power, but that sounds good.
If he starts, that actually is a great segue into our next weekly random, and that is the Trump tweet that came out on June 4th, a month before July 4th. If that, I don't know if it matters, but where he, let me bring it up. Let me take Roseanne off of our screen and bring
Bye, Roseanne.
Bye, you stupid.
Bye now.
Bigot. All right, Trump tweet. As has been stated by no, you do this. You give us the Trump voice.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So this is an actual audio recording. Let's play the tape. Okay.
Roll it.
As has been stated by numerous legal scholars, I have the absolute right to pardon myself. But why would I do that when I have done nothing wrong? In the meantime, the never-ending witch hunt led by 13 very angry and conflicted Democrats and others continues into the midterm.
Dude, you have a future.
Yeah.
The
next Alec Baldwin.
3 years from now, there's going to be a movie about this.
That's true.
I'm just throwing this out there.
Yeah, I would love to debase myself.
You'd just have to shave and put on a wig, which I don't know if he has to shave, but the wig part.
It'll like they'll get Daniel Day-Lewis to play it, and it'll finally be his breaking point. He's played like the tragic hero Hamlet. He's played like Daniel Plainview and There Will Be Blood, Billy the Butcher, but Trump will be his unraveling.
He's already retired though, so I think he'll be safe.
Yeah, he's retired.
until the Trump role, he'd have to put on a lot of weight though.
Oh, he will though. He will. He'll get gout.
And pancake. I guess they can. Never mind. They can do some tricks with the camera to make his hands look smaller. But
it's true. Yeah, the camera subtracts 10 pounds from the hands.
They'll just do the thing where the hands are further away.
Right. Yeah. Forced perspective. Like Lord of the Rings style. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that he can have his hobbit hands.
Oh gosh. Oh, but we digress. Anyway, so as we in the tweet, as we read, as has been stated by numerous legal scholars who will remain unnamed, he has the absolute right to pardon himself.
The absolute right.
The absolute right to pardon. And I didn't actually give this total. You put it up on the screen, right?
I was just it's up on the screen.
Yeah, I kind of read it wrong. Let me kind of admit, I have the absolute right to pardon myself.
I know. I was gonna give you a little heck about the fact that you didn't just scream that part.
Yeah.
Since he decided to put it all in. Since he decided to put it in all caps.
And I think he must have just got finished watching 12 Angry Men because he capitalized 13 very angry and conflicted Democrats. It's the sequel to 12 Angry Men. 13 very angry and conflicted Democrats.
Or somebody mentioned it. I cannot believe there's any reality where he's ever seen that.
That's true.
Or read it or anything like that. There's no scenario where Trump watches anything intelligent. It does have angry men in the title though. So. Yeah.
There's probably a drop.
He just like
that's my kind of movie.
subconsciously. He doesn't even recognize. He just I need angry. Well, I need to see this. I need to see this. I can't even do it. I can't do it. I need to. I was like an Arnie. I was like an Arnie. I need to
see this.
I need to work on it. I need to work.
I need to see this movie.
I need to. Yeah. But anyway, so before we got into this, like I said about marching on Washington and dragging him out of the White House, if he decides to start, well, we can go on whether or not it's legal because there are some arguments against it. But regardless of legality, if he starts partying himself, that people will march on Washington D.C. Like I would say by the next day, and there will.
Or are we too complacent?
No, I do think that there are I think there are actually lines, and I think this would be one of them. This would be just so blatant that it would piss. I mean, there are plenty of basically he just hacks away at his base.
Yeah,
a little at a time, and this would take off a huge chunk. I think.
Sure. I mean, well, Washington's already but just kind of tolerating it for the sake of.
You're breaking up.
Oh, hey, am I back? Am I back? Hello.
Yeah, you're back. You're doing the thing.
Gotcha. All right. Well, no, I was just saying. I mean, Washington's already kind of against him. They just back him for the sake of the party.
Oh no, I think the country would mobilize, just everybody,
You said mobilize, and I imagined Optimus Prime,
That's right.
I mean, they'd probably be there too.
That's right. Everybody. No, I really do think that people would march on Washington though. That being said, there are many arguments saying basically saying that it is not legal coming from. Yeah, coming from the acting assistant attorney general Mary Lawton back in '74, when 5 days before Nixon resigned, she basically says, under the fundamental rule that no one can be a judge in his own case, the president cannot pardon himself. That sounds a little less than absolute that you're allowed to pardon yourself. But then to take it one step further, and that's Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. The President shall be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states when called into the actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of the respective offices, and he shall have the power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in the cases of impeachment.
Yeah, I mean, that seems fairly clear.
That's the Constitution, bud. If you get impeached, you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, but the Constitution, that's some legal scholars, but he had numerous legal scholars that said that wasn't
numerous.
Ooh, I like that deep voice, that was very authoritative.
Yeah, that's how he hears it in his mind.
Yeah.
Before he says it.
Can you do that again for us?
Numerous.
Oh man, so clear.
And then, yeah, but the Constitution kind of says no. So, yeah. Anyway.
Speaking of the Constitution and presidents and those who did not become president, et cetera, Sam, you had the opportunity to do something very special recently. Is that right?
I did. It was a good weekend.
What did you do, Sam?
And it gives us. What did I just do? Oh my goodness! It gives us the opportunity to talk about one of our favorite topics. At least, definitely one of my favorite topics. What on earth did I just do?
Suspense is building.
Where is it? Anyway.
Did you lose
something? There it is. Hey, found it. I went and saw Hamilton at the Fox Theater here in Atlanta. I was one of the few lucky people to, when they released all the tickets, Heather was just sitting on the computer reloading F5.
Is that really what it was? Okay. Man.
Yeah, Jen didn't
You
get
have to
them.
just be diligent.
Yeah, Jen didn't get tickets.
My sister, his
Yeah,
sister-in-law, she did not get.
where yeah, Heather was just sitting there, refresh, 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 and we got in, and we got like gallery, and they were still like $75 a pop.
That's not bad. No, that's a
Is
steal.
that good? Gallery's
Yeah,
like
hell yeah.
way
For Hamilton,
way in the back. We
it
were
doesn't matter. No, dude, like you get a seat like in the lobby for $75. Like,
yeah. So we on Friday went and saw it. Um, so let's before we talk about the performance. Um, I mean, first off, Hamilton's fantastic. The music, the everything to do with it. I mean, how do you feel about Hamilton, Ross?
Hamilton's one of those things that I think is just going to distill upon history as one of those singular moments of art that I think I don't know. They're gonna write books about it. There's gonna be textbooks and classes taught about Hamilton the musical. It's just yeah, I think it's one of the defining moments, not only in musical theater history, but I think in a kind of in a way also in like American history. I mean, it really kind of shaped the social conversation for a while after it came out. It hit Broadway back in I think August 2015. Right, it's 3 years and it's still playing to sold out audiences nationwide.
I mean, I don't know what Lin Manuel Miranda was doing. It really is just a singular act of genius.
Yeah, creative genius.
Yeah, to be
For
able
those that aren't familiar, Hamilton is a play about Alexander. It chronicles kind of his life and his times and his ascension to some political power and the fall from it, and just kind of goes through. It's a biography, musical theater play that infuses elements of rap, hip hop, musical theater styles, pop. I mean, just a bunch of different musical styles, melds them together. And it was written by Lin Manuel Miranda, uh, who wrote the lyrics, he wrote the music, he wrote the script, and acted in
well
the lead role as Alexander Hamilton.
the script.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a few lines there, right?
Well, that's one of the things that really surprised me. There was basically almost nothing else.
Almost none. Well, yeah, but in any case,
was,
he wrote the story. He adapted the
right,
story
adapted
and
from the
credit is due from the book by Ron Chernow called Alexander, or called Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So.
Yeah. Is it called Hamilton?
Yeah, called Hamilton. Yeah.
But no, but yeah. So the music, first off, just fantastic. You can watch. I mean, after seeing the play, you can basically get the entire play by just going on Spotify and turning on the album and listening to it through.
Yeah, like you go to a lot of musical theater albums, like the total runtime of the album is going to be something like 45 minutes to like an hour tops. And then Hamilton, the total runtime of the whole soundtrack on Spotify is like 2 hours and 2 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes, something like that. Yeah, it's over 2 hours of just straight music.
I mean, it's a rapera.
Yeah, it's a rapera. It's a hip opera.
Hip opera. It's a hip opera.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and people that don't even like rap like him. People that don't like musical theater like him. People that like rap and musical theater have an orgasm. So.
I've had many.
Yep. An orgasm, if you will.
An eargasm?
I was going for aural.
Yeah, it's too highbrow for this podcast.
Yeah, I guess too. Especially if we're making orgasm jokes. See, there you go, mixing culture with lack thereof. There you go, the beauty of Hamilton.
No, well, as for my review of the play, oh my goodness, what's happening here? As for my review of the play, first off, it was awesome.
I have not seen it, by the way. I'm not one of the lucky few.
That's what you get for living in Utah.
Yeah. I mean, it came to Utah, but it sold out. Like, it sold out to all of the season ticket holders before it even went to sale public.
Yeah, like I said, refresh. But no, it was my first takeaway was I was very surprised there was very little other dialogue. There was one scene where when Lawrence they go over the fact that Lawrence dies.
Right.
That because in what happens actually is Lawrence, Hamilton's friend, he goes down to the South and tries to raise up a black only regiment, and he dies in the cause of it. And he actually gets like his moment in the play where he dies, and it's actually covered. Whereas if you just listen to the soundtrack, it doesn't get covered at all. That was basically it for me, at least. I mean, maybe there was little things here and there, but I really didn't notice them because it really just went from song to song to song. I mean, and after, if you listen to the music, you can understand how and why it can do that. But at the same time, I do have to admit, having listened to the music just repeatedly, my expectations were I had certain expectations, and watching the play, I was expecting some differences, but some of them were big and small. I guess some, like, first off, the king, who is my least favorite character in the soundtrack, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like, I know the actor who was doing it. I should pull up who was on that, but the actor who was doing it, like, if we had some binoculars so we could actually see.
Nice. It was actually like an opera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
really,
are one of the hoity-toity elite Americans who's seen the play.
My eyes were like, the next day were like kind of like burning from having to strain to look through those binoculars. But no, he was fantastic. His facial expressions, like bringing that medium, like the visual medium, to that role, just took it to another level. Whereas, just like I said, the music for me for the king never does that. I don't really like it. I don't like the.
You don't like the Britpop homage, the kind of like early Beatles?
Nope, I don't. Yeah, I don't. I've never enjoyed, but like live with him singing it, with his like acting added to it, it was fantastic. I know they'll never do it. They just need to record it. I want to be able to watch it again. I want to see that exact same performance again because it was phenomenal. Some other superlatives: Thomas Jefferson, amazing. He was dressed all in purple and had like coattails and
total dandy.
Oh, and he was just fantastic. He was so flamboyant. And as another note, he plays the guy who plays Jefferson is the same person who plays the French guy. Why am I blinking?
Yeah. Lafayette. Marquis de Lafayette.
And the actor just nails it. Like, he goes from like just like really deep French accent, and then transitions into a Southern accent for Jefferson.
That's awesome.
But in my opinion, he stole the show. Like, he was the best. He had the
best. That's a show-stealing role. Yeah.
Aaron Burr, fantastic. One like drawback, like, it was funny because the first real Aaron Burr song is I guess there's two. One is the first song, Alexander Hamilton, the titular song. That's kind of his song. He sings most of it. He leads throughout the song. Right. He was just okay, and then he sings Aaron Burr. Then he sang "Wait for It," and it was just a complete disappointment.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, but then after that, everything else he did was fantastic. Dear Theodosia, wonderful.
Weird.
And his acting, wonderful. Like, he really, like, he brought a whole nother. I felt like he brought another level to the character. Like, but it was so disappointing to hear "Wait for It," and because I mean it's the best song in the play, in my opinion.
You think so?
Oh,
yeah, it's definitely up there. Top 4, top 5.
Oh, I love it. I think it's wonderful. But then for him,
no, it's one of the first ones I ever heard, and I listened to it on repeat.
Yeah, and then it just kind of like, it was just a letdown.
Lin-Manuel Miranda wrote that song on a subway, by the way. Like, just like in the middle, like he was just riding the subway, and that thought just kind of came to him, and he just like wrote it like in a day, like really quick. Which isn't always the case. I mean, he took a year to write Alexander Hamilton, like that song, that first song. He took an entire year to write that one before he did it for the.
I love that song.
For before he did it at the White House.
Those are my top 2.
Yeah, but wait for it. It just was like a day. It came to him immediately. He was like on his way to somebody's birthday or something.
It's ridiculous.
And he had to he said had to leave early from the birthday party because I had to go home and write this.
I have to go.
I'm being struck by inspiration.
I can't believe I'm even here still.
Yeah, if you don't know anything about Hamilton, if you haven't listened to the music, if you haven't seen the play or whatever, you might want to skip ahead another I don't know, a couple minutes or whatever.
Yeah, I got just two more things to say.
Yeah. So go ahead and skip ahead if you don't care. But for those of you, the good ones, stick around.
We love you all. We love you all. Some of you a little less, but we love you all.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
My last 3 point. Hamilton was weird. The person who played Hamilton.
Yeah.
He was like 6'8", and like imposing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It was
he's supposed to be like young, scrappy, and hungry. You know, like the line.
Yeah, exactly. And he was like kind of like aggressive. And
it's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like that.
Like
I imagine Hamilton being a little sexier than Lin-Manuel Miranda plays him.
Oh, this gentleman was like. I mean,
laying on the charm thick.
Oh, he was I'm saying he was like the perfect guy almost. He's like 6'8", perfect jaw. Like he's a
Oh, so you're saying you liked it better?
Oh no, I didn't like it. He was very attractive, and that's fine. Like I had no issue with that. Yeah. I agree with you on that. But I feel like I feel like first off, Lin wrote it for himself.
Totally. Oh
yeah. For his acting style, but also like
an excited young puppy.
Yeah, but also someone who's trying to like convince you to do what he wants you to do. Like he's trying to like, whereas this Hamilton was very much just like commanding. Like he could have been a general as opposed to a lieutenant.
Right. He's like trying to like intimidate you to do what he wants rather than kind of like persuade you through his,
through his writing, through his
mellifluous writing.
Which that for me, that's who Hamilton is. I mean, I know I've listened to the musical repeatedly, but I also read the book. And the tone I got from him was just more what Lin brought to it. I mean, you expect every actor to bring it a little bit different,
right?
But I feel like this is the only the only portrayal I didn't enjoy was actually the main one.
It's unfortunate because he's in like every single scene.
Yeah, but I have to say though, I really do feel like this is more like Aaron Burr's play.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get that. I would agree.
Like I feel like Aaron Burr, he sings more. He kind of drives the narrative more.
He frames the whole story.
Yeah.
And
so it was fantastic nonetheless. I mean, my wife and I came away just beaming. Like she was so happy, and we actually I should go get it, but we got our playbill signed by Hamilton and by Angelica.
Very cool.
So it was very cool.
I want to know. So, like, I mean, we could talk a lot about it, obviously, but I want to know, kind of just encapsulated. What seeing the show in person? What was the experience? Like, what was going through your head, your heart? What did you feel and think? Just kind of experiencing the show.
Well, that's my first show.
What'd you come away with?
It's my first show at the Fox.
Okay, cool.
So, it was beautiful. I mean, it was I know it lived up. Okay, I've listened to this musical since it came out, and I probably listened to it about 50 plus. I don't know. It lived up to every single thing every single expectation that I had. There were a couple scenes where I was like, oh, okay, we're not using the entire stage. And that was a little weird, but some of the choreography was just magnificent, and the cast, not the cast, but the ensemble. Thank you. The ensemble, like for basketball, they're the sixth man. They're their own actor even. Like
yeah.
And they were wonderful. They do most of the dancing throughout the whole play, as opposed to the main characters. The main characters kind of go about.
That's common.
Yeah. But they were wonderful. What is that? No, I mean, it was great. I obviously thoroughly. I not that I have to convince you to go see it if you ever get the
Yeah.
chance, but
I don't know if you're much of a crier, but did you cry during It's Quiet Uptown?
what got me? No, I did not. Not quite. Quite. I actually the end is what got brought. I felt it. Tears well up. I'm not much of a crier. It takes
Right.
a lot to get me to cry. But I did feel like tears well up in the last scene.
Which one?
The Write Your Story. But where,
Yeah, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Starts an orphanage, all that stuff.
yeah, that was magnificent. That was,
Yeah.
yeah. Phew.
Love it. Ends so quietly too. The whole show just ends tiny little unison, quiet note.
Oh,
Good. Listen to Hamilton. Gosh darn it,
magnificent.
do it.
Yeah, listen to Hamilton. And please listen to it before. Okay, here's one little nitpick. Go listen to it before you go.
You think so?
Yes. Don't be one of
Okay, if you're going to Hamilton, you've listened. Like
no. That's the thing. Like, well, because Jen didn't get tickets, and we're listening to all these people laugh at the jokes in the play as if it's the first time they're hearing them, and it was like this like you're seeing this instead of the person who like Jen loved. First off, Jen, Ross's sister, loves Hamilton, like,
Yeah.
and all these people like they just, it sounded like this was the first time they'd ever heard the music.
They're not worthy. They're not worthy of tickets.
No, it was horrible. Like, oh
Yeah, give the show to the people that want it.
yeah.
All right, man.
But that's
Well, all
Hamilton.
right, yeah,
That's Hamilton. We can move on.
let's move on. We're short on time. Let's move on to the Reddit shower thought of the week. This is a pretty good one.
Oh, let me hold on.
Um,
I need to bring it up.
are you putting it up?
Where? Go away. There we go. All right, go.
All right, so we got Techno Waffle here chiming in, noticing that it would be weird if a human yelled out, "Anyone want to fuck?" But birds do it all day and nobody cares. So I don't know. I guess my thought on that is just double standard.
Yeah, it really is offensive.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah, I mean, that birds.
Either just let's be consistent. So either we need to like hold birds to the same standard, or humans shouldn't get such a hard time for just trying to find them.
Well, I mean, it's just an offer. No one has to take you up on it. I mean, most.
Yeah. I mean, it's a polite question.
Right. I mean, how else is someone gonna know? Yeah, I agree. Either hold birds accountable or let the neckbeards free. Well, let's move on to, we're going to part 2 of 2 for our discussion on truth. Last week we talked about the value of truth.
That's true.
Thank you. And this week, man, we are going to talk about the cost of truth. And I'll give us a little bit of, this is our main event. I'm going to get some main event music. Or like some voiceover. I don't know.
Main event was the name of one of those. I used to watch like and one Street Ball back when I was growing up.
Oh yeah, sure. Me too.
Yeah, main event was one of the players. I don't know why that's always stuck with me. He was good. He was one of the good ones.
Oh, and one was awesome. But I'm thinking in my mind I was thinking like boxing. I actually made a little GIF. If you're watching this on Twitch,
You made a GIF.
You
made a graphical interchange format.
GIF. It's actually just peanut butter.
GIF. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
just made some peanut butter for us.
And I just put it on the podcast. So
that's good because I don't really know if I want any graphics interchange.
I know, but you can see that the peanut butter. If you come onto the Twitch stream, but I made anyway. I was thinking about like boxing, like Michael Buffer. Welcome to the main event. But yeah, so
that was a lot of build up for.
What did you see it or no?
Oh no, I didn't put it. No, I was just
Oh,
saying that little introduction you just gave though. That was so much build up.
oh no, I'm saying we need to get something. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. That
Oh, okay,
no. That
gotcha,
is that
gotcha.
would be
That was not.
wholly no.
Yeah, all
That would
right.
be wholly underwhelming. I'm thinking like with a bell sound, like ding ding ding,
Okay. Yeah, I was
ladies
underwhelmed.
and gentlemen, that sort of thing. Anyway,
Yeah, I'm on the Twitch stream right now, but it says it's going live in 14 minutes. That's what it says for me, at least. I don't know. Anyway, we should
I
move on.
hope not. I'm.
That's what it
That's
says for
okay.
me.
I'm getting it recording anyway, so
Yeah, yeah.
we're
It's all good.
if that's still the case, that would be horrible.
I think it is, but that's all
Um,
right. Yeah, so let's get into it. So the main event.
um. So anyway, last week.
let's
Okay,
get into
no,
it.
it's not
So
doing
the
that for me.
main-
All right, cool. It's working. What's up? All right. So last week we talked about the value of truth, and if you haven't listened to them, I definitely recommend going back. But just to briefly cover, we talked about kind of how much of truth balances out with how much of kind of lies. We talked about Kantian ethics versus utilitarianism. When's it okay to lie? That sort of thing. But the cost of truth, where we kind of want to go with this one is kind of where with as we've discussed in the past, how we're moving into kind of an era of untruth, where truth is not. I mean, kind of how we saw with this last election, it wasn't defined by truth; it was defined by what people were, what people believed.
Right.
But if we were to shift back to an era where truth is the primary focus, what would we be willing to pay to make that happen?
Yeah.
So
Right,
that's
figuratively or literally.
correct.
Yeah.
I mean, because let's be honest, most people get their truth in quotations and their knowledge from the media. And the media is not not an organization who is driven toward, I wouldn't say the truth, but they're driven toward sensationalism. I
Right,
mean,
because it sells.
yeah,
Sells.
it's
But at the end of the
capitalism.
day, they're corporations, just like any
Mhm.
other, and they want to make a buck.
And as we've kind of like, as the 24-hour news cycle has grown and progressed, we've just seen media kind of degenerate because of the bottom line. I mean, if you're
You know,
CNN,
I need to go back and watch Anchorman actually, because it's not a bad criticism of the current state of news media.
it was a prediction.
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy is a prophet and nothing less.
They're reporting on, like, I think a water skiing squirrel at one point, and it just has everybody enthralled, and yeah. That was back in like 2006, 2004. I don't know. That movie came out a while ago, but that's kind of, I feel like, where we're at.
Well,
You know?
not just the other thing is like one great critique from that movie even is in the fact that basically these people are actors. Anchors are actors.
Right.
And how he is basically beholden to the script, where he'll even like, I think, what's he say? He says like "fuck you, San Diego" or something like that, and it gets him
Yeah.
run off the stage. But I mean, if you ever watch Fox News, they're not like journalists.
No.
They're actors.
Right.
I mean,
They're paid to read the headlines to you in an interesting way.
they're exactly, someone writes the headlines for them, and then they read them. I mean, do you remember when we watched it on this on the stream where our boy Trump called into Fox and Friends?
Yeah.
And the freaking I'm gonna give him some props here. Those people
Right.
on Fox and Friends, they did not break. As our senile president just made an absolute fool of himself. Just stoicism.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They just got to keep it together for the camera. It's all about the presentation.
So the simple math of that is, media needs money. Money comes from viewership. Viewership is easier through sensationalism. Sensationalism is often the antithesis of truth. It is.
And so one of my questions, I guess, with this is then in whose best interest is it to produce honest and well-researched news?
Well, ours. I mean, if you want.
Well, but no. But I mean, on the part of who the people doing it, in whose best interest is it to do that? For themselves to do that.
Well, it is not for a media organization. I mean, take our podcast. I mean, I know we're small, we're young, we just started, whatever. But if we were more sensational, more flamboyant, it would be easier to draw viewers.
Because, right, and that's what I'm wondering, like, how do you then combat that? Because the only leg you have to stand on as a media or as a news organization in kind of the marketplace of ideas is, if it's not on sensationalism, then it's on trustworthiness, right? Did people value you because you're trustworthy, or because they feel like it's honest? But then that brings up kind of two questions, which is like, is that more worth it for that organization than being sensational? And the other question is, how many people in the United States even still value trustworthiness and are willing to make that a higher priority than?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty proven right now that no, it is not worth it. Right? I mean, that's what it feels like that right now. If a media organization exists as any other business to make money, so if you want to make money, you're going to be like Fox News. You're going to be like InfoWars. You're going to be like
CNN,
MSNBC, CNN. You're going to just give us the hits and tell us what we want to hear.
Yeah, it's interesting. It kind of makes me like, so much of this is just kind of like the dumbing down of culture, right? Where we kind of want little tidbits and little scraps of information presented in little compact forms. We want our information neutered. There was a time before I was even alive, really, where like the primary source of information came from newspapers, right? From articles. One of my favorite movies is All the President's Men. Have you seen that one?
I have not.
It's great movie. Came out in I think late 70s, about the Watergate and about
Watergate.
Yeah, and the two journalists, Bob Woodward and I can't remember the other guy's name, but anyway, about their investigation into the Watergate scandal and how they kind of exposed those lies. And it's fascinating watching that movie and how everything is it's just print. Everything is print. That's the only way anybody knows. I mean, there's television and stuff. There is still news stations, but like the meaty stories, those are in the Washington Post. Those are in the hard facts in the paper. Long, lengthy, in-depth articles that people spent time on. And I feel like nobody really. I mean, how many people really read the newspaper as much anymore? Newspapers are dying today.
They absolutely are.
Now we want it in a Facebook article. And so I think a lot of it has to do not necessarily with like news organizations just being the bad guy. It's kind of a vicious cycle, right? They're trying to pander to our tastes as an audience. We don't want to read in-depth articles, and so they've got to come to us where we're at.
Oh no!
And then because of that, it only dumbs us down even more, and it's this kind of it becomes that vicious cycle.
No, it's exactly what happens, and I mean as much as we want to blame the media because we want to live in the the utopian world where the media's job is to be honest with us. And the media's job is to tell us the facts and the truth regardless of what it is. But quite frankly, we reject it when that happens. We are the cause. We as a society are the cause of this. Yeah. I mean, though I think clickbait's going away a little bit, it's still there and strong. I think that some of the more bold types of clickbait have gone away. But I mean, YouTube videos still get those sensational titles, like you see a Fortnite video, 5 kills in 10 seconds or something stupid like that.
Yeah, or even like I've come to kind of really hate Vox. It's the same kind of thing. It's like extremely well produced, very clean, professional looking videos, horribly slanted and giving you the story that they want to give you, but it's really well packaged and shiny and it looks good in a news feed. And so, people flocked.
I mean, I had a couple of ideas on kind of like how can media kind of overcome this? I mean, the number one way I think is there would have to be some sort of anti-sensationalism backlash. I mean, that is the easiest way for this to happen. Right. Easiest and hardest way for this to happen.
People have to get fed up. The supply has to be met with a different demand.
Yeah, the demand for sensationalism has to dry up, and now all of a sudden they see, oh, these well-produced articles, the hard truth, maybe some sort of like bluntness. I don't know, like if people start to embrace that more, but where truth and not so much sensationalism is what gets the clicks, it's what gets the views, it's what makes the money. I don't think we're there yet.
And I was just gonna add too. I think some of it I think is just outright bias and just slant in the media, right? But I think a lot of it also is just due to the fact that I think there are a lot of news organizations and articles written that do make an effort. They do make a conscientious effort to be unbiased, to be fair in their reporting. However, it's difficult when all you can do, it's like, I don't know, it's like if you're doing like a deposition in court or something, and instead of asking you to like write out a report, they say draw a picture. And that's what they're going to base all of the evidence. There's going to be something lost in translation there, and so I think a lot of it, the news media is trying to be unbiased in many cases. But because they're limited in what they can present us, it has to be short articles, it has to be short videos, it has to be little snippets, it has to fit in a tweet. Then we're losing valuable context.
I will agree with you for some news organizations.
Yeah, definitely not all.
I feel like there's some that just throw it out the window.
Outright lie. Yeah, of course.
I mean, I feel like Fox News is just an abomination to journalistic, like, journalistic integrity. Yeah, like the way they go about it, the stories that they know who their audience is and they pander. That's all they do.
It's pick the angle and find the facts later to support it.
And it's nonstop pandering, and I mean, it in many ways is a propaganda wing for our lovely president. And the fact that people don't see it, the fact that people don't care, just absolutely enrages me. Like, it, stop being part of the problem. Open your, like, I know so many people who that's like the only place they're like our president who freaking turns on Fox and Friends in the morning instead of listening to the debriefings that he gets from his different organizations. Like, the news is out there. Like, even if you are liberal and you don't watch Fox News, get your news from somewhere other than CNN as well. Like, we all can be guilty of it. If all you do is turn on a television channel and watch the news, broaden your horizons.
Yeah. Broaden your horizons with Too Much to Say podcast.
That's right. Join us on Too Much to Say, and we will.
The question here then is can a media outlet even be created to overcome this problem? And that's kind of the burning question. Is like, what do we do? And is it even possible at this point? Would it even stand up if somebody even tried to do something?
I think it'd have to be a nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only thing I could really think. Like, the problem is that money is the only goal at the end of the day. I mean, a state run is news organizations obviously off the table. That's just ridiculous. Proven to be abused. The government's is not that great at most of what it does anyway. So it would have to be it'd have to be like a generous billionaire or some young the Too Much to Say podcast who if we somehow made enough money to be able to employ people to do, research for us and that sort of thing, other than the two of us. It would have to be something like that, though. And it would have to be nonprofit where the goal at the end of the day is to not make shareholders money.
And that's it's a good check, and I think that is definitely like kind of the right direction to go. But then this is kind of a two-parter, because let's say you've accomplished that, you got that, it's done. Then what do you do about what do you do about all the biases that come in from the reporting, and from even if you're not like beholden to shareholders or to like just making the most money, and it's not corporatized, if that's a word, there's still always going to be the introduction of human bias and slanted reporting, because we all have different ideas and different worldviews. So then the question there then is, how do you perform a check on this theoretical organization? What's the check? How do you make sure that it stays fair and balanced?
Well, according to Elon Musk, we should rate journalists. This actually
Rate them.
This is where most of our where this idea for the last two podcasts came from, was from his he announced, I think we talked about this last podcast, but he had a website called Pravda. He wants to create a website called Pravda, which
sounds oddly Russian, admittedly.
No, it's Russian for truth.
So that's why it sounds oddly Russian.
But hold on. There's a one step further though. It is the do I already have this pulled up? And also happens to be the name of the newspaper central to the Soviet Union's Communist Party.
Huh.
He's from South Africa. So let's just put it this way: Pravda is a bad. If you're gonna, this is a bad.
It's not a good name.
No, it's a bad name, and it's also a bad idea. Rating journalist is on anything. Rating anybody on anything on the internet has, unless it's like Amazon and the Amazon reviews for the items, even that gets abused. I mean, if you throw in journalism, it's gonna, like, politics and all these things where people have different biases. I mean, people are gonna just upvote and downvote based off of the bias.
I think there's a way it could work. I mean, there are more advanced rating systems out there. So for example, like, I work at an ad agency, and we're rated on a website called Clutch, and the review process on Clutch is not open to the public. In order to rate an ad agency that's listed on Clutch, you have to call Clutch. You have to do about a 30-minute phone interview. You have to write like this lengthy thing, and based on all of that and very specific questions, that's how they then do the rating. So it's quite a process.
Yeah, but who?
But it makes it that much more trustworthy.
Yeah, but who fact checks Clutch? Who holds Clutch to? I mean, heck, what's that rating?
Clutch, of course.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, what's that? TripAdvisor.
TripAdvisor.
Okay. Yeah, TripAdvisor. I think it's TripAdvisor that, like, they got caught because people were paying them for ratings and stuff, and to like clear away bad ratings. Because like, if you're a little bed and breakfast, being on TripAdvisor and being like the #1 bed and breakfast in an area is absolutely huge. So they would pay TripAdvisor for that to happen.
Yeah, or you could pay reviewers, independent reviewers, to put in a good word.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, rating systems are kind of flawed inherently because of that, the ability to kind of cheat the system. But that's what I think's interesting. What, as you can tell from the Reddit shower thought of the week, we at the Too Much to Say podcast are huge fans of Reddit. I view Reddit kind of as ridiculous as it sounds, almost the perfect way to receive your media, because of its self-correcting nature, the ability to upvote and downvote. It's all user based. I mean, there are, it is subject to manipulation. That's been proven. I mean, you can have upvote and downvote attacks. It's been proven that if people upvote things right when, if you share a link and then you had some like bots that all upvoted, 100 upvotes for your link immediately, then that, I'd have to find the article. There was somebody who actually like proved this, that they did this to prove it. They posted these somewhat weird articles and then paid this organization to get a bunch of upvotes, and then they did like a control where they had like 5 articles where they didn't get it all upvoted, then 5 articles that they did, and all the ones that they did, they all like shot up to the front page of Reddit.
How's that a good thing?
No, that's the negative.
Yeah, okay.
That's the negative. The positive,
Well, yeah.
And that's why it's not perfect. And the question
Right.
there is, can there be something that's better?
My problem with that is that, like, how is that different than sensationalism? Because I mean, like, you go to the front page of Reddit, and if you look at the top of all time, it's a post about the Senate from Star Wars, or the Guardians of the it's like a Guardians of the Galaxy. Right. I mean, that's sensationalism. It's entertaining, and it's just kind of like whatever, and it's a meme, and that's the most. It's essentially a popularity contest, right? Granted, it's not in the like Reddit's best interest to like promote one thing or another, but I don't know. I mean, it's still, if people are voting on it, then
well, I mean, you still want your news filtered to some degree, right? I don't need to know every single news story that is out in the universe. I don't have that type of time to digest it. But at the same time, I get these articles from a million different organizations. I get it from CNBC. I get it from Bloomberg. I get it from, I mean, heck, CNN. Where did we went today? We did CNBC, Reuters, Bloomberg, CNN.
Little cocktail of
BBC
sources.
Yeah, I mean, you get sources from all over the place, from all different organizations, and
Right.
then the next step that's great about Reddit is you can the link's right there. You can go ahead and click on it, read it for yourself, and B, you can click on the comments and see what other people have said about it. And I mean, there is some circle jerking on Reddit, and you know, once a thread starts going a certain way, it can kind of be dominated by that. But at the end of the day, the onus rests on yourself for you to determine how you feel about that article. You can see how other people feel about it. You can see, you'll get some experts, some armchair experts in there that say, oh,
Right.
this isn't true or whatever. But you just get kind of a bigger grasp, and that's I don't know of a way to really improve that. I guess
Right. I think it's all about perspectives for me. I think it's, yeah, the more perspectives you can get on a topic, the better. I kind of had it explained to me once this way, that like if I write on a board, 1 + 1 = 2. Okay, that's true, right? But that's just one way to express that. What happens if I write 1x + 1, or 1x like -1 = 2. X = 2. It's another way of expressing the same idea. Or if I do 22 - 20, right? There becomes a lot of different ways that I can get to the same result, which is 2. And but every single new equation you learn is going to give you more information about the way math works. You're going to gain a fuller understanding of what 2 actually is. 2 is not just 1 + 1. 2 is a whole wealth of things, but it can be approached in different ways. And that's kind of how I see like learning about truth, right? If you just take one perspective on any matter, no matter how true under the surface it may be, it's going to be an incomplete understanding. So the more perspectives you can bring to bear, the better off you're going to be.
Absolutely. I agree. I mean, that's one of the reasons, I don't know why this came to me, but like, it's one of the reasons I feel like racism, I had to take a complete different turn. What reasons like racism and like people who are against certain cultures, I feel like that's one of the reasons that exists is one, if I only stayed in Georgia and never step out, I'm gonna think a certain way about people from New York. But then I go up to New York and I meet with those people and I'm like, oh, you're human. You're just like me. Like, because getting that fresh perspective from somebody else helps me, make a different, change my opinions. I mean, one of my great examples on Reddit was, at one point I didn't know much about transgenderism, that sort of thing. Thought thought it was weird. I didn't understand it, but then I read about someone was giving a personal account of their own gender dysphoria and kind of the torment that they went through. And to be honest, it moved me. I felt compassion. I felt sympathy for this person. They were able to put it into words that, I could comprehend, into emotions that I could comprehend to some degree. And it completely turned around my opinion on people who are transgender and are, have gender dysphoria. And it's that type of thing. Like, that's one of the great things about Reddit is it brings so many people together, so many points of view, not just from different articles and different organizations, but also just the users of Reddit. Yeah, for the most part, it has a really great community, and I mean, I feel like that's where we need to get away from the traditional news media of on the television. It becomes too much of an echo chamber. There's no point counterpoint, which is something you can actually get online.
Right. Yeah, and it's all about that. It's all about having those multiple perspectives.
I mean, if there's anything we could do to maybe improve Reddit, it would have to be some sort of type of verification system. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to go best. I mean, one of the best parts about Reddit is being anonymous.
Right.
And I don't think opinions. I hate when I just worry where, especially with the type of government that we have at this moment, opinions shouldn't be tracked. Opinions shouldn't be, governed. And it worries me once you start to do verification that would happen. Maybe some sort of like max IP account usage where like your IP is accountable to the things that you do. So like if you post a bunch of BS, then okay, your IP address gets tagged for manipulation, then we're gonna go ahead and just block your IP address. Maybe that's something that already happens. Because you can just cancel an account, create a new account. So I don't know if somehow they can tag, they can tie everything to an IP, or if we can do some sort of like blockchain verification where we, you have like, secondary verification with Google where they like,
right.
The 6-digit account.
Yeah.
Just some sort of way to hold not the average user accountable, but those super users who post a lot of stuff and who are guilty of the manipulation or the hate.
And you see some
comments.
subreddits get overrun. They like start out as a good subreddit and they get overrun by ads and bots, plugs and stuff.
I mean, heck, I saw this. I was on Reddit today and I saw this. A thread about this guy. He was saying that he went through Chinese security. And this is in China specifically, and they put some sort of app on his Android phone. He posted it to the Android subreddit. And then I saw after reading it and upvoting it, because I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And people were like, oh, send me this. He was basically asking for advice on how to get rid of this and make sure that his phone's clean. But then after a second, I was like, hold on. I voted this guy up three other times. It means this guy posts a lot to Reddit because I don't upvote that often. And then I pulled up his history and I was like, this dude posts like every 6 hours. This is complete bullshit. Like, there's no way that. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way that this guy actually had this experience because he posts articles like 30 times a day. So it's that kind of thing. I want that to be held accountable in Reddit. Right. I don't know if that's possible and how to do it, but
hopefully somebody thinks of a way.
Yeah, I still, like I said, Reddit's still, in my opinion,
it's definitely one of the better formats out there.
Yeah, and I wish we could somehow mirror that in a media company.
Well, and we'll wrap it up with that question. Unfortunately, I have to kind of bounce pretty immediately, but that is kind of the question: can it be done? Is there something is there a better model for news out there? And another question of it is, what are we willing to pay for it? and that's, I guess we can kind of just leave that one hanging.
Yeah, I
Which
mean,
is, what is the price you pay? Do you rely on advertisers? Do you pay independently, or I don't know. How much are we willing to pay for truth?
are you willing to pay your time, your money, your rights? Are you willing to give up rights to the government to have your truth fact checked for you? Or are you willing to do it with your time and spend your own, actually fact check your own stuff? I think it's been pretty proven that Americans in general are not willing to pay with their time. As
Less their money.
Yeah, as evidenced by the this last election. But yeah, I think that wraps us up for today. But please follow, like, subscribe. We are on Spotify, Apple, on iTunes. We are on Stitcher. We are on Twitch at twitch.tv/Hector Meow every Tuesday at 8:30. If you like us, come see us. Give us those upvotes. Let us know you love us, and so we can bring you more content. And until then, have a great week.
It's been good. Yeah, we'll see y'all.